And that can change the trajectory of your life. You know, having someone believe in you, having someone tell you you're capable, having someone to bounce life's problems up and give you sound, reasonable advice and not the wrong advice. So
I really applaud you guys for taking your time and to develop that relationship to where y'all both trusted each other.
right.
Because
You can have two choices. You can take your medication or you can change your lifestyle, but you can't do either one because either one you will be dead. And I just talked to them straight like that. So, Mr. Johnson, your blood pressure is 180 over 100 right now. You don't want to take your hypertension medication because it's causing problems in other areas, which I respect and understand. But are you going to stop eating the pork skins? Are we going to stop drinking liquor every day? So I told him, you got to pick a struggle. You got to pick your heart.
So when you decide to go in, like what you kind of did was like with love,
Yeah.
it builds a way better connection. Now they trust you and they gonna listen to you whenever you want to, have something to say.
Right. I want to say the neighbors called the police, and subsequently the police went over and found him tied up in a basement, and he was, I want to say 2. And we're going to need everyone vaccinated at 100%. And I said, so you're not acknowledging my religious exemption?
I thought that was
In the state of Georgia, it is. And they go, no, not this year. Because they find that the men aren't honest about their health history,
okay.
or they will downplay.
Yeah.
I'll ask them, are you having any chest pain?
Yeah.
And Mr. Rogers say no. And then she's like, you just complained the other night that your chest was hurting you and I was going to call 911. So, yeah, the major, I was in NAACP, alcohol awareness educators, honor society. I pledged Delta. I was Miss Albany State my senior year and a senior nursing major. So,
Hello world, welcome to another episode of Generational Health and Self-Love. I'm your host, Light.
Run easy.
And today we have a very special guest in the building, someone we've been dying to interview. I want to read off some things and let you know a little bit about her. First of all, she's a wife, most important. She's an actress. She's a nurse practitioner. She's a health nut. She loves to work out. And she's just a real loving person who likes to help just from a genuine place. So without no further ado, can y'all please welcome Miss Brittany Mohammed Borkins.
thank you.
Welcome. And we've been dying, like I said, to do this interview because we actually had some time set up before and things kind of went south on our end, so we had to reschedule. So now we're here, and I just want to say it's an honor to have you on our show. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm grateful to be here. Thank y'all for having me and considering me as a guest on your platform.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
You want to say something before we get all the way in
Definitely excited to hear, what you went through and your story to making it to becoming a nurse practitioner and then getting into the acting part. That I didn't expect that actually. I didn't even know really.
Oh yeah, it was a surprise to me too, but I'm glad that you can see people, the talents, they just ain't good at one thing, but multiple things. So we got a lot of different people out there who have special gifts, and sometimes they'd be afraid to kind of show them, but I like to try to encourage people to just do what you love, do what you feel, because that's what makes you happy, and you should be focused on what makes you happy and not everybody else.
Yeah.
So I want to go ahead and get started. Could you just tell the people a little bit about yourself, your background, where you come from and things?
Yeah, so I'm a Georgia girl, born and raised here in Atlanta, Georgia, which is a rarity because most people I think in Atlanta now are migrants, but I grew up here. Yeah, you're a migrant.
Yeah.
But yeah, I grew up here, grew up on the south side of Atlanta, graduated from Tri-Cities High School, and went to Albany State University for undergrad, which is a HBCU down in Albany, Georgia, and that's where I got my bachelor's in nursing and pledged Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
Congratulations.
And, shout out to the sorors. And was also Miss Albany State University. So I had an amazing time there. I am a huge advocate for HBCUs. I feel like that foundation of being around Black excellence kind of set up the next stages of my life for sure. So go Rams. And then I graduated, started my nursing career, decided I would go back for my master's in 2011, graduated from Georgia State in 2014. and started my career as a nurse practitioner in 2015. So
Okay.
I've been in the nursing field for 15 years. And
congratulations on that as well.
yeah,
That's
thank
good. That's a
you.
great
Thank
accomplishment.
you. Yeah, I love it. I love taking care of people and teaching people how to take best care of themselves. So it's a rewarding career. I spent 10 years in pediatrics working with children.
Okay.
And then the last 5 years, I've been with the geriatric population. So mostly like 65 and older, which is the other end of life. But interestingly enough, the infancy stage and the baby stage kind of life comes full circle.
Yeah.
So when
Yeah.
you get to that other end of
Yeah.
life, it starts to kind of mirror, the same help that you needed as a baby. So
And what did you call that? You gave it a name.
geriatric
Geriatric?
population,
I
yeah.
never heard of that.
Yeah, that's just like, the
Is that a
senior
new term
population.
or just something that I mean?
Probably a term used in medical.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
but geriatric just means
that-
elderly person.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, I want to ask, how was young Brittany? How was you growing up as a young girl? Like, what inspires you to want to go into that field?
I've always been a helper. I would
Okay.
say that. I went through a few helping professions in my mind, when you're
Yeah.
younger and the wheels are turning. So first I thought teacher,
Okay.
and then I thought firefighter.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
at one point.
interesting.
Yeah, I'm a brave girl.
Yeah.
But then finally I was like, I think nursing.
Okay.
I've always been a nurturer.
Okay.
That's just something in my personality. And so when I decided on it, I was like, yeah, and I want to take care of kids.
Okay.
And that's what I
And
did.
around what age do you remember how old you were when?
I was probably in middle school when I decided on like being in the health professions.
Yeah.
And my mom set me up really well. So she sent me to a summer science camp that they had on the campus of Morris Brown College, just down in the AU Center,
Yeah.
for children that wanted to grow into the health professions.
And how old were you around then?
I was in middle school, so I want to say I was in 6th grade. So 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, I went to
Yeah.
this summer camp on a HBCU campus once again,
Right.
for 8 weeks, and we would learn science and math, and it basically was for children who had aspirations of going into the medical field.
Yeah.
So that was a really positive experience, and they paid us. They gave us $250, of
In
course.
middle school?
Yeah, but this is in
You
the
was
90s,
balling.
so
Yeah, I would've
I was
been rich.
12, right? And then I remember the last year they did the camp, they gave us $500, and you couldn't tell me
Wow.
nothing. I
Oh
was like,
my
oh
God.
yeah. So not only did we get to learn
Yeah.
and we got to be on a college campus, but we also got paid. So I think that was a pivotal moment
That's
in
good.
like shaping my desire to go to college, seeing other Black people be very educated and successful, and
Yeah.
because my mother, she wasn't college educated.
Okay.
Hardworking woman.
Yeah.
She, developed a trade in culinary arts.
Okay.
But she always wanted better for us.
Yeah.
And just always pushed us for whatever we wanted to do. She wanted to make sure that we had the opportunities.
Yeah.
So I didn't grow up, I guess. I grew up privileged, but not, I would say, financially privileged.
Okay.
So I didn't grow up with a silver spoon. Definitely stayed in the inner city, single parent home, but my mom did not allow my environment to shape my future.
Did you have siblings?
Yes, I have 2 brothers.
Two
so
brothers.
I'm the only
Oh,
girl.
2
I'm the
brothers.
oldest, but yeah. So we grew up in the hood, quote unquote,
Yeah.
inner city. But she wasn't one of them moms like, no, you can't go outside. You're gonna stay on this porch.
But that middle school
Yeah.
experience, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Bro, I mean, to just think that you went through that 8 weeks and you got paid. I know you said, well, if I can get this type of money just from doing this,
Right.
just imagine what I could do if I was graduated and actually got a
Right.
degree in this. Like,
Yeah.
that had to have been just thinking back, like, how did that make you feel? Did that build self-confidence within you? Or like,
I think so. Yeah, for sure. I think it built self-confidence. And I think just being in that environment at a young age,
Yeah.
being on a college campus made it, it brought the dream into reality.
Okay.
Like, this is something I can do.
I can
This is
actually do this.
attainable.
Yes.
I can touch it. I'm here already,
Yes. Yes.
So while the other children who stayed in my apartment complex were just sitting outside and running back and forth, I was in a college classroom, 12, 13, and 14 learning. And I think that made a difference for sure. My focus was different. And my ambitions were different because I knew I could achieve it.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful, forever grateful to my mother for putting me in positions to win from a very young age.
Wait, When you got that money from your from the thing, did your mom say she was gonna hold it for you?
No, I went shopping. I went shopping like a 12-year-old would do. Yeah, I bought my school clothes.
Oh,
So,
you
yeah.
bought a lot with
Yeah,
500
yeah, back in the 90s for
back
sure.
then.
in middle school.
Yeah,
You
so
could,
no.
she thought she was rich.
Yeah, no, she was happy I had that money because it took a little pressure off of her. You know, like, okay, you got $500, so you
Yeah.
go ahead and
Was you
do what
pulling
you
your
want to
money out
do.
every night, just looking at it like?
They would send us a check.
Okay.
You know, so my mom would cash it. Of course,
Yeah.
she would hold it, but no,
Okay.
she would let me spend my money.
Okay, no, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So going into your high school, like, how was high school for you? Did you pursue like, what did you take? Did you have classes that led to healthcare and stuff like that when you was in high school?
Not exactly. I did have to take advanced placement classes
Okay.
because my grades were really good. So my teachers were like, you should be in advanced placement. Like, we want you in these harder classes. And I tried to fight it. In fact, I my senior year, I was dancing. I was on the dance team.
Okay.
And then I also was, high school is where I started acting because I went
Okay.
to a performing arts high school.
All right.
So I was like, I have plays, I'm dancing. I don't want to be in honors classes because they're going to take too much time.
Yeah,
And I want to enjoy my senior year. I want to have fun with my friends. I want to be outside, you know. And
Yeah.
she was like, well, if they're too hard, okay, I'll come up to the school. I'll see, because I want you to enjoy your senior year.
Yeah.
So she comes up to the school, have a meeting with the assistant principal, and he's like, Brittany is brilliant. Like, she doesn't need to dumb herself down. And I guarantee you, she can multitask. She can handle dancing, which is extracurricular.
Yeah.
If anything, we can put the dancing down. But she definitely needs to take these honors classes because she's preparing for college.
Right.
And she needs to learn how to multitask.
Yes.
And I'm sitting there, my mom is like, he's right, Brittany. Well, can we stay in the honors classes? And I'm like, you betrayed me. And we get home, and I'm like, Mom, you didn't stick to the script. She's like, no, they're right. They're the experts.
Yeah.
You know. And I'm like, okay. So,
if anything, she could drop the dancing. What?
you're right. Like, if you're overwhelmed, Brittany, let's put aside some of your extracurriculars. And I'm like, oh, this did not go as planned, but to their credit, it did set me up to go to college and not just have to be a student. Like, I was in probably 15 different clubs in college, you know, and as a nursing major,
Yeah.
which is a very challenging major. I mean, I was in NAACP, alcohol awareness educators, honor society. I pledged Delta. I was Miss Albany State my senior year and a senior nursing major. So, and my nursing teachers was just like, nobody does this. Like, when you do nursing, you just
Yeah.
have to do nursing. Nursing
Yeah.
is very challenging. We don't know how you're going to balance all this. And I was just like, we'll see. And graduated, you know, with a 3.6. So
Congratulations on that.
thank
as well.
you.
That
But
is-
it set me up. I say that to say that them not allowing me to pick and choose what I wanted to do
Yeah.
and say, you can do it all.
Yeah.
Improved my confidence. When I got on the other side, I thought, yeah, I can multitask. And that's life as an adult, you know? Like, nobody has, well, most people, if you're thriving, I say, don't just have one thing to do.
Yeah.
You know, like when you ask me about one, I'm like, I got 5 different things to do today when I leave this appointment. So, yeah, I think the more you learn how to balance all your priorities, the better off you are.
So when you was in high school and you was doing the, like, how did you do the acting and then keep it going, like, from high school and then going into college? Did you keep it going?
No, I didn't. So, interestingly enough, when I got ready to graduate, the other thing that was on the table for me was, did I want to pursue theater as a career? So it was theater, nursing.
Yeah.
And honestly, when I graduated high school, I was definitely in survival mode.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to be a starving artist.
Okay.
I wanted to make some money.
Yeah.
So I went with the guaranteed route. Like, I know I can do
Secure.
nursing school. I wanted security. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you something
Yeah.
then. That's very interesting that you say that. So, which one is your first love?
I would say theater. That
Okay.
came first.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
before I was a
yeah.
nurse, I loved performing.
Yeah.
And in this last year, I've rediscovered it. So I tell my husband this all the time, but being married took me out of survival mode
Okay.
because I have someone who's covering me.
Yes.
And that covering and protection of my husband allowed me to sit back and say, well, now that I don't have to survive, what do I enjoy?
Yes.
You know, what do I
Yes.
enjoy doing? And although I enjoy nursing, that's my career, but that's what put food on the table for
Yeah.
me. So being able to explore those creative avenues that I put down for 15 years has been a blessing. It's
Man.
like nothing else. Yeah, 15 years I was not on
15
stage.
years.
And
how
then
did
just
it
jump
feel,
back
though?
out there. It feels amazing.
Did you feel like you never left?
No, it feels like it left a little bit.
You know,
It's a little bit like riding a bike, but
Yeah.
you have to relearn those muscles,
Yeah.
But I would say that the learning the scripts and the learning lines and the being comfortable on stage. I've never been a shy person, but just getting back into relearning the craft
Yeah.
is new, but I'm enjoying it. I'm loving every minute of it for sure.
I gotta ask you, how is it doing the things that you're doing and being a mother? How is that?
That is good. That's good. It's just about balance,
Okay.
and I think balance is something we're all like striving to achieve. I don't
Yeah.
know if you ever get it completely correct, but I strive to balance my time with my children
Yeah, right.
and my passions, because I feel like as moms and people, as a mom, as a wife, as anyone who cares for another person,
Yes.
you have to make sure you fill your cup too.
Yeah.
Because you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah.
So if I deplete myself, I have nothing left at the end of the day to give my husband, to give my children. So I have to nourish me, and acting and performing and coming to the gym are ways that I nourish myself. So I prioritize those things
Yeah.
so that I can nurture my family.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And are you like me where you have a blended family?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
I have a
because
blended family.
I have a blended
Mm-hmm.
family, and that can be very interesting.
Yeah,
So,
it
and it can be
is.
challenging.
It can be.
Because
Yeah.
for me it's a learning
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Yeah.
It's like you don't come into it knowing all the answers.
Right.
And it's a balancing thing too,
Yeah.
because when you have children of your own, and then you come into a relationship and you have to be a parent to those children as well.
Right.
It takes some growing and some
Right.
getting used to each
For
other
sure.
and learning different attitudes and behaviors. And then you also have to deal with, I know I had to deal with, it's kind of like the love, shedding your love around.
Right.
Because some may feel unloved, unappreciative, especially depending on how the other parent is involved or not involved.
Right. Yeah.
That becomes an issue as well. So if you want to, you don't have to. If it's okay, can you speak to that? And just like, cause to me, I feel like all the things that you do, that also becomes like another responsibility.
For sure.
And
Yeah.
it's something that you have to treat with a certain type of care.
For
so to
sure.
speak.
Yeah. It's interesting. I don't have any biological children yet.
Okay.
So my husband was previously married. I'm his second marriage, and he has 4 children from his first wife.
Okay.
So coming into a relationship with 4 children, once we decided we were serious about each other, at that point is when I met the children.
Yes.
And it was very, I would say, organic. Like they just gravitated towards me as I to them.
Okay.
And I didn't come in trying to be an authority figure.
Yeah.
I came in just as someone's extra to love them.
Yeah.
And over time, once we started living under one roof, I kind of tiptoed into being an authority figure.
Okay.
And I say that because I had a stepdad.
Yeah.
And I had 2 stepdads. And my second stepdad, when I was 11, came in with the authoritarian
Attitude.
demeanor before we got to know each other.
Yeah.
And that did not go over well. I was very rebellious towards him. I was very angry towards him.
Yeah.
And even my mom at times, because I'm like, who is this man? And why did you let him come in here and try to tell us what to do? You know?
Yeah.
And so I rebelled. So my own experience with a step parent, I think really shaped my mindset of I'm going to go into this very much hands off.
Yeah.
I'm going to let my husband take the lead
Yes.
on discipline and all of those things. And I'm just going to be this extra adult that loves them. And of course, respect is not an issue. We don't, deal with that. But we have very good children. And I think because I went into it with that method, they trust me.
Yes.
And they love me.
Yeah.
And I think from love, that's the foundation for anything else. So because they love me and I love them, I can go to them now and be like, y'all need to get this stuff off the floor.
Yeah.
Without it being like, who she thinks she talking
Yeah.
to? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because my first approach was just to love them and to get to know them,
Okay.
you know? And then with it being 4 different personalities, that was definitely a learning curve
Yes.
for me. Because honestly, before my husband, I had never even seriously dated anyone with children. So I literally went from 0 to 100.
Well,
But
let me ask you something, because I hear some prior to you meeting your husband. Did you ever tell yourself, I wouldn't dare
No.
be with a man?
no,
Because,
I wasn't that girl.
okay,
Yeah.
I only
That makes
reason I
sense.
asked because and I'm just being honest. When I met my wife, she had 3 children.
Okay.
I had 3 children. We had one together.
Okay.
But prior to me meeting my wife, I said stuff like, I ain't selling out 1 or 2, 3 kids.
And you had children?
And I had children.
The
I'm like,
audacity.
hell, I got enough. You know what I mean?
So you had kids but didn't want anybody with
Yeah.
children.
But-
Okay.
And I never seen myself getting married.
Okay.
So it just like changed my whole perspective, and I was just like, asked myself, how could you say that when you got 3 kids?
Right,
Man,
right.
you're not right. You're not right.
You
But
wasn't right.
I'm glad that we having this, and I hope that our viewers are listening, because I know there's some people out there with similar relationships like
Right.
this who have blended families.
Yeah.
And blended families could be a difficult thing.
Yeah.
But it's just all about how you go about it. And then also, kids are very smart.
Very.
And I don't think we give them that enough consideration into how smart they are. And kids will play on you if
For
you
sure.
allow them to, and have you behind closed door going back and forth while
Right.
they in there playing the games,
Exactly.
eating candy or something. You know, y'all in there
Yeah.
arguing about
Without a
some stuff.
care in the world.
Man, let them kids be, because they know what they're doing.
Right.
And it ain't because kids, you know, sometimes kids have this wild, imaginary thing of their parents being together again.
Sure.
And sometimes they try to block. So it really ain't personal,
Right.
unless you just like evil person.
Right.
But for
Yeah.
the most part, once kids warm up to you,
Right.
they love you.
Yeah.
And the kids know a
Yeah.
good person.
Exactly.
And you know, sometimes you might bring a little kids like maybe 1, 2, 3 years old. They don't go to certain people.
That's true.
They be
Yeah.
like, hey.
Right.
And some people, they just, so
Mhm.
kids know. So I'm glad that we having this discussion, and it's a beautiful thing that you was able. That's another thing. Hold on. You have more accomplishments
Definitely one
than
of the things she
LeBron
had said to
James.
me was one of the things she had reminded me of when she was like, instead of coming there trying to be a authority figure, she decided to like build the relationship first, so it could be a better connection and on the long run. Because she came there trying to be strict or authority figure, the kids would have acted a certain way, and then the connection would have been messed up from there and then on. So when you decide to go in like what you kind of did was like with love, it builds a way better connection. Now they trust you and they gonna listen to you whenever you want to have something to say.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
and
because I looked at it like they have a mom and they have a dad. Like,
Right.
there's nobody's role for me to fill.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I'm just coming in as Miss Brittany, as they call me, and I'm just an extra person that loves their dad, and I'm here to love them. And if you want to talk about something, we can talk about it. So they come to me and we have the most interesting conversations about, what's going on with them. They're teenagers now, so they're navigating relationships and friend drama. And I feel good that I have gained their trust to the
Yes.
point where, they can come to me and talk to me about things that they might not even want to talk to their mom or dad about, because it's just like, Miss Brittany not going to judge me.
Yeah.
Miss Brittany
Yeah,
going to be
right.
cool, so
Yeah.
I'm the cool bonus mom, and I love that for me.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And
Yeah.
something you said about your husband when you said, once I got serious,
Right.
then you met the children.
Yes.
That's very important as
Yeah.
well.
Yes.
Because that also instills a level of respect.
Right.
And that shows that he has respect for you and his children.
Correct.
By taking the time to introduce you guys.
Yes.
Because that's a process within its own too.
Yes.
Because you don't even know. You have to get to the point where you know what, I'm gonna stick around.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you go to meeting kids and then next thing you know, the relation, it's just a bad thing for the kids,
it
especially
is.
if they get attached. So
Right.
I like to hear that as well, that you took your time, because I know, coming from where I come from, man, these women have men in and out the house, and it's just like they don't understand the effect that it has on a child,
Yeah.
seeing these different men
Yeah.
or women, depending on if it's a guy with the children.
Right.
You just gotta be patient, even though you can't run from one relationship to another relationship and bring the kids with you.
I agree.
You know, so I really applaud you guys for taking your time and to develop that relationship to where y'all both trusted each other.
Right.
Because it's a trust. When you bring someone around your children, that's a big factor.
It is,
You know,
yeah.
and you got to be willing to trust a person, because at some point you're gonna be alone in the home with my child.
Right. Yeah.
So we didn't seen the news. We
Exactly.
didn't seen a lot of crazy stuff happen. So
Yeah.
once again, I applaud y'all for taking your time and not rushing the children's relationship with y'all relationship,
No.
because those are two totally different relationships.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
it's good to keep those things separate, because,
Right.
like you said, you have your own personal relationship with them
Yeah.
that they don't have with their dad, and he has his own personal relationship. So
Exactly.
it's a beautiful thing. And
Yeah. It is.
Thank
Thank
you. It's a simple
you.
thing, and I love it. Well, I can't say that my wife's children hasn't been to, like, they embraced me over a period of time. You know, they had times when they felt a certain way moving, because not only did they not only did they come into my life, but they moved from a whole nother state.
Okay.
So that was a lot.
A lot of changes.
You know, changing and bringing them from their family. So, and I think I gained a lot of knowledge, learning, and just being able to father children, period, to me is a great accomplishment.
Yes.
So I salute all the fathers out
Yes,
there, all the mothers out there who's doing their job, man. I salute y'all. Keep it up, and let's just help heal and become greater parents. But we're gonna get back into this interview and Miss Britt and all her great accomplishments. But I want to ask you a question. Can you discuss a significant challenge or trauma you faced in your life and how it shaped you in your professional journey?
Challenge or
I was gonna say maybe like when you got into college, was there anything that you was miss maybe so maybe you didn't.
No, there was challenging. College for sure was challenging.
That's what I was gonna ask you.
Yeah, college for sure was challenging. But it just I don't know. I'm a fighter by nature.
Yeah.
If I want something, I'm gonna get it. So telling me no is like just putting a battery in my back, or telling me I can't have something or I can't do something. But
It's
nursing, it's fuel. But nursing in itself is a challenging major.
Okay.
And then, of course, because me being me, I didn't want to be the person who just spent 4 years just going to classes and coming home. So I'm like, I'm going to do things. I'm going to enjoy these 4 years. So not only was I a nursing major, but I was very active on campus, which means I had to really master like time management, you know. And it even became a time where I remember I had a test in nursing. This was like my senior year, but I also had a speaking engagement for the university.
Yeah.
So I got to class on time to take my test, but my teacher was late. And so I think the class might have started, say, at 9, and the speaking engagement was at 10:30. And so she might have got there like at 9:30, and I'm thinking, okay, I don't have enough time to take my test.
Yeah.
So I told her, like, I'm not going to be able to finish. And she's like, well, you knew this, you know, when you signed up, and you're a nursing major first. So if you don't take the test, you just fail the test. And I'm like,
But she got that.
but I got to speak for the university, you know, and I was here on time. So I just left. I didn't argue with her. I went and did my speaking engagement. And then when I got back to class, maybe the following week, I saw she had failed me for that test. And I'm like, this isn't going to go. So I contacted my first call, the university president.
No, go over there.
And he contacted her and told her, you will let her take her test, because as, you know, the school's first ambassador, she had to be at this speaking engagement. But she also tells me that she was on time for class. And if you would have gotten there, you know. So it was a lot of little bumps in the road like that in my nursing school. Like, unfortunately, some people trying to, like, discourage me, or make the process difficult.
Yes.
Like the studying is difficult, the casework is difficult, the going to class and going to the hospital 10 hours a day, that's difficult, right? But then it's like there were people along the way, just a few. Most people were very encouraging and nurturing, but just a few, like, I want to make this harder for you, you know, and you just have to have that spirit of like tenacity and keep your eyes on the prize, like they say, and know that, I'm gonna get to the other side of this. I'm gonna graduate, and I graduated on time in 4 years, in spite of all the things they tried to throw. In fact, when we entered the nursing cohort, the spring of my sophomore year, there were about 200, maybe 150 of us.
Yes.
I graduated with 7 people.
Wow.
So if that puts it in perspective.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So all of us entered the nursing program in the spring of, let's say that was 07, right? To say we're going to be nursing majors. So welcome. And literally every semester, people were just dropping like flies. So we would have to pass not only a math calculation test to show that you know how to like calculate medication dosages. You have to pass that test at 100% at the start of the semester. If you didn't pass that test on the 3rd try, they dropped you from a class. At the end of the semester, you have a standardized test you would have to take on the content. You get 2 chances with that. If you didn't pass that with at least the 80, you get dropped. So even if you successfully completed all the coursework, you had to pass that end of course test. So there were a lot of obstacles to overcome. So yeah, it went from literally a cohort of probably, I would say, on the low end, let's just say 100. And I graduated with 7 other girls.
Wow.
7 people, 1 guy, 6 women.
Let me ask you something, because I'm listening to you talk, and I have to say, you sound very encouraging. You sound strong. You sound like, where do you think you got the courage to just say, I won't give up, I won't give in? Like, would you say it came from your mom or just a variety
I think
of
it's
things?
genetic.
Okay.
I think it's genetic. My mom is a very determined, tenacious woman.
Okay.
My grandmother, I come from a long line of women who just are gonna do what they want to do unapologetically. So I think I was born this way. I know it sounds cliche, but I can't think of it. I mean, my mother instilled in me like you can do anything you put your mind to. God is always with you.
The middle school thing that she did,
for sure.
that was just even the thought of that.
Yeah,
like, that's I love to hear that, because thinking back when I was that age, I didn't have that confidence in myself, and I didn't know that until years later. That's why I was, going through the things that I was going through, because I didn't have the consistency, I didn't have the discipline, and the confidence. You know what I mean? Like I didn't believe that I can do those type of things. People would say, "Oh, you can do this, you can do that," and I would self-doubt, self-hate.
My mom said I was always like a really mature child. But I don't know. I think a part of it was maybe just I was born this way. And then another, I had a lot of my mom's voice kind of plays. Like, the things your parents tell you can become your inner voice. And so it was always like, you can do anything. And it was always positive. So I think I just believed her. What she told me, I believed, which is why parents' voices and the things you tell your children are so important, because she always believed I could do anything, so I believed I could do anything. I never doubted myself, but I was born sassy. My grandma is a story. I was about, I think 2 or 3, and I was living with my grandmother down in Alabama, and she said every day we would go for these afternoon walks, and I would just talk her ear off. I always been a talker. I would just talk. And she said one day, she told me, "Girl, hush, I'm so sick of your talking. You talk too much." So I was quiet. So then the next day, I'm sitting in the bed, she says, with my granddad, and she comes in there and she said, "Come on, Brittany, we're gonna go for our walk." And I tell her, "I'm not going." And she said, "Why you not gonna walk with me?" And I said, "Well, you said I talk too much, so if I can't talk, I guess I won't walk." She said I couldn't have been no more than like 3 years old, and looked at her with a straight face and told her I wasn't going on no walk. And every time she tells me that story, I'm like, that sounds like me though. That sounds like me. But to be that at that age, that's what I probably,
Right.
it was God built me this
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
you know, because
Yeah.
I was a toddler telling my grandma I wasn't going to walk with her.
Yeah, 'cause I couldn't talk. I
Because she
got
didn't
some-
want to hear me.
Yeah, I got some things I want to talk about. I had a long day too.
Right.
They act like kids don't have long days.
Right, wrangling these cows with you.
Yeah.
He was down there on a farm, so yeah.
Oh, okay. It was on the farm.
Yeah, my grandparents had a farm.
Oh.
Yeah, so when I would spend the summers with them, it was rural Alabama, so they had chickens and cows and dirt road and riding on the back of my granddad's pickup truck, eating watermelon, you know, in your hand. Yeah, I'm a
Yeah.
country girl for real.
So you got a little tomboy in you, like you, was you ride horses and stuff.
Not
or-
riding horses, but just running barefoot,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh. Yeah.
on dirt roads and things like that, scraping up my knees, you know.
So you did that in the summer with the grandparents.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, like, coming out of college, how long was it before you actually start working in your field?
3 months.
3
You know,
months.
nursing is in demand. So
Okay.
literally, I graduated in May. I want to
Mm-hmm.
say I took my licensing exam because after you get your nursing degree, before they give you a license, you have to pass another test.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you get your degree, you've done all that, but you
Is that
have
a
to
state
pass
test
a
or-
state
yeah,
test.
state
Yep.
test, yeah.
So I had to
After
sit
going
for
to
after going to school.
Yeah.
They want to make sure that you know what you're supposed to know. So I had to sit for state boards.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to say I took that. I gave myself like maybe a month off. I started studying for it, which I've been studying the last 4 years, but
Yeah.
of course more intensive, like let me focus on the NCLEX.
Yeah.
And took that in June, passed it, and started working at Grady in August. So graduated in May, was working at Grady in August.
And if for the people that don't know, could you tell us exactly what a nurse practitioner is?
Yeah, so a nurse practitioner is also called an advanced practice nurse,
Okay.
and that is a nurse with a master's degree. And so in the state of Georgia and in a lot of states, you have prescriptive authority, so you can see your own patients independently. You can write prescriptions. You pretty much function as an independent provider, but you do have to be in legal contract with a supervising physician.
Okay.
So on paper, you work with a physician. In my current job, though, I work independently because I don't prescribe.
Okay.
So I go in and just do like wellness visits,
Yeah.
but I'm not prescribing any medication. But in the case that you're prescribing medication, you do have to be in collaborating with a physician.
Was it a time when you were prescribing
Yeah,
medication?
for a few years. I did a lot of private practice. So I worked at a few private doctors' offices. I worked at a primary care clinic affiliated with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. I also used to work for Minute Clinic. So in all of those settings, I prescribe medication.
So how is it now? What you do now in your field? Like, how is it compared to what you did in the beginning?
In the beginning of my career as a nurse, I was in the hospital taking care of patients who were sick and admitted. So these are patients who are staying in the hospital.
Okay.
So, you know, giving medications and different treatments and basically caring for them and nurturing them back to health 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
Now I go into people's homes and basically assess their health status.
Okay.
So what health problems do you have? What medications are you taking? And what can we do so that you can, in my mind, get off some of these medications
Yeah.
and live a better life, you know?
And these are the elderly, right?
These are mostly, yes.
Now, if you can, I know you have. How is it dealing with? How is it dealing with the elderly? Like, I
Yeah.
know it's got to be.
It's
Fun.
interesting. It's very fun. It's very enlightening, I would say,
Yes.
because they're very wise, you
Yeah.
know, especially when you see people in their 80s and 90s. I wish I had hours to just sit and listen to their stories
Yeah.
because they have a wealth of wisdom.
Uh-huh.
That's the positive. The other side is that some of them are grouchy
Yeah.
and unsatisfied with life,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
wish they would have made different choices,
Yes.
you know. And so working with the elderly has been very impactful on me
Yeah.
because I've learned to live my life like tomorrow may not
Yeah.
come. because you don't want to get to 80, 90 years old and have a list of regrets or should have, could have, would have, which is what prompted me to get back into acting. Because I'm like, even if it's just community theater, this is what I enjoy. You know, this is what I love doing. So yeah, it's fun for the most part. I would say 85% of my clients are lovely and happy to see me coming, and we have a good time. And there's just the 15% where I'm like, let me just hurry up.
Do they ever say, you look too young to know
all the
anything
time,
about what
all
you
the
know
time.
about?
Yeah. They'll sit there, they'll just kind of look at me, and you can tell they're sizing me up, you know, and they're looking and they're like, and they won't say it outright. Then eventually we'll get comfortable and they'll say, how old are you? And then I'll tell them my age, and then they'll go, so how long you been doing this? But oftentimes they think I'm a lot younger than I am. That's what they give me. They were like, oh no, you don't look like you're, in your 30s. So they think I'm like 25 years old coming to tell them about their health. And I'm like, even if I was, if I know what I know, I know what I know. Exactly. But once they know that I've been doing it for 15 years, I get a little more respect. But if you could imagine back when I was a new nurse at 21, people were looking at me all kind of crazy. Like, girl, if you don't get out this room, like I've had people tell me that. Like when I first started nursing at Grady, this man, I came in, I was like, good morning, I'm all happy, I'm a new nurse, I'm excited. I'm like, I'm Brittany, I'll be your nurse today. He's like, no. He's like, are you out of high school? And I was like, sir, I graduated college. He was like, go get me somebody else. And then the charge nurse came in there and was like, she's a nurse, she has a license, she's going to take care of you. We got to a few hours in. He's like, you all right. You all right, youngin, because I was very competent. But, of course, people looking at you like, you look like a baby. So, yeah.
Do you see a lot of couples, married couples?
Do. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you can you, how's their interaction with each other? Is it...
Most of the time it's good when they get up in age. It's pleasant and they've settled in and they know each other very well. The women are always trying to answer their husband's health questions because they find that the men aren't honest about their health history or they will downplay. I'll ask them, are you having any chest pain? And Mr. Rogers say no. And then she's like, you just complained the other night that your chest was hurting you and I was going to call 911. So... the women are often like more candid, and I think that's a masculine thing. Like men do not like to be sick, it's your ego. I guess when you acknowledge sickness, you acknowledge that you're human or you're,
you might feel like that's a sign of weakness.
A weakness,
if you're sick, you need to tell somebody so somebody can help you.
Yeah, especially us, black men. There's this mistrust of the health system, and I get it, rightfully so, considering our history with the health system in a lot of cases. But if you're sick, you do need to go get the help. And like I tell my patients all the time, you can have two choices. You can take your medication or you can change your lifestyle, but you can't do either one because either one you will be dead. And I just talk to them straight like that. So, Mr. Johnson, your blood pressure is, 180 over 100 right now. You don't want to take your hypertension medication because it's causing problems in other areas, which I respect and understand. But are you going to stop eating the pork skins? Are we going to stop drinking liquor every day? So I told him, you got to pick a struggle. You got to pick your heart. Being healthy is hard if you think about it that way, but being sick is harder and more expensive.
Have you, how has your relationship been with your patients? Have you become have some of them almost in some way like family to you?
Yeah, they want to come to my baby shower when I have one. They want to meet the kids. They tell me, you could just stop back over anytime. They give me herbs out of their garden. My clients, I really say, love me. I have pictures in my house from things that clients have given me. I have plants clients have given me. So they love me because I come in, and again, my motto is to lead with love, Right. So I come in and I try to just really get to know them, understand, even the grouchy people. Yeah. Because some people, when I get there, they're very abrasive. They're very defensive. Yeah. But I was telling my husband this, I'm glad I give people an opportunity to warm up, because oftentimes when I give them about 20 minutes, there's something beneath that. And usually it's sadness, or someone hasn't heard me, and you're just another medical person coming here to tell me what
Yeah.
I'm doing wrong, but
Yeah.
you're not gonna listen.
Yeah.
And so I think when I take the time to just listen to people and let them know I hear them and I'm here to work with them, that their demeanor changes
Get
and
out
they
that shell.
soften. Yeah, the shell breaks up, and it's
Yeah.
like now we can talk human to human.
Because they feel
you
they
know?
can trust you. now.
Exactly.
And a lot of
Yeah.
people they probably gave their trust to, they didn't get nothing in return.
Yeah,
So that
especially
kinda-
veterans.
Yeah.
They're
Oh.
very like, I really don't want to deal. They be
Yeah.
screwing me at the VA,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But then when I'm like, okay, well let's figure out what we can do. Let's
Yeah.
navigate. So I really try to help them navigate the hurdles that they're having,
Yeah.
and people show you that they just want to be heard.
Yeah. So you know what? It sounds like they be happy to see you, and it sounds like you be happy to see a lot of them as well.
For the most part,
Yeah.
we're happy to
That-
see each other.
Now, have you? How long are these individual visits? Are they all the same amount of time, or do
I
they
get a lot of
fluctuate?
the hour per
An hour?
client. So they're about 30 to an hour, depending on, or sometimes an hour 30, depending on how long they talk.
Okay. Oh, so how long what's the longest that you could stay with a client at a time?
It just depends on who I have on my schedule.
Okay.
So I give clients 3-hour windows.
Okay.
So I'll tell them I'll see you between 9 and 12.
Yeah.
So of course, if I have three people in that 3-hour window, I have to kind of move a little quicker.
Yeah.
But if I only have you, we can sit there and talk and powwow.
So you
Yeah.
it's almost like you're a mentor as well then.
To the elderly.
I'm running out of damn paper.
It's so funny, but I'm a mentor in real life,
Well, yeah,
to girls.
To the oh yeah,
But yeah.
to the girls, yeah.
Mhm, yeah.
Oh, so that's another thing. What's the name of the program?
Ladies the favor.
Ladies a favor, and my daughters go there too. But
Yeah.
that's another mentoring program for anyone out there that's listening that you can look up on IG
Yeah.
and inbox them if you want to try to take your kids there. Only girls too.
Mhm.
And it's a mentoring program for girls, and they just try to help them, I guess, just figure out who they are and what they want to do with their lives.
Yeah.
Because we need that. We definitely, it takes a community.
Yes.
I got a question. So, wait, jumping into the medical field, and you at Grady now. How did you get to doing the mentoring and to get into the acting? Like, what point were you like, okay, now let me hop into doing the acting or helping with the mentoring? Like, what was the first step in doing that?
So the mentoring program, I joined that in 2015. So one of my sorority sisters, Gabrielle Starr, she started Ladies a Favor, I want to say back in 2007. And I had, kind of watched it. You know how you see people do things and you watch and observe from the sidelines. And so finally, when I got to the place in my career where I felt like I had the time, I was like, I want to mentor girls. Like, I want to give back. I've always been passionate about children, and definitely girls, because I'm a woman, so I know what it's like to need a positive role model, to need someone to talk to. And although I had a lot of positive role models, most notably my mom, I know a lot of girls don't have that. And that can change the trajectory of your life. Having someone believe in you, having someone tell you you're capable, having someone to bounce life's problems up and give you sound, reasonable advice and not the wrong advice. So I just wanted to be the change that I felt like some girls needed, which was why I joined the mentoring program. So here we are 10 years later, and that's been going great. And then as far as acting, like I said, I got back into theater a year ago, just out of the creative desire to perform again. And I had missed it, and it had been on my list, and finally got around to being like, okay, if you don't do it, nothing will happen. So literally got some headshots and was like, I'm gonna go on an audition, and went on the audition and landed it, and here we are. Yeah. Here we are. So
And so are you like, you started a year ago, so are you currently still doing it?
Yes, I'm still performing. So I currently perform improv at Southside Theater Guild. It's right here in Fairburn. Fairburn, Georgia. Our next show is August 3rd. And it's going to be a great show. This is our season closer. So this will be my 5th show in the last year that I've done, and it's just been an amazing journey.
And what is the show about, and what character are you playing?
So it's an improv improv shows. So if you ever watch like Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yeah, you
or
just-
Saturday Night Live.
Okay.
So it's basically improv is like sketch comedy.
Okay.
So it's no script.
Okay.
It's not rehearsed. We practice games
Yeah.
in rehearsal, but when you come on, we basically tell a game to the audience,
Okay.
and then we go up and we act out a scene. So
Okay.
it's what they call like sketch comedy, but
Yeah.
it's very funny. If you've
Yeah.
never been to an improv show, you gotta come.
Right, it's on the
Y'all
spot.
should
You
come.
just gotta
It's
say
on
whatever.
the spot, so it's
So-
a different muscle.
Yeah.
Because
You
you
gotta do
basically
that.
just have to be able to fly off the handle and create a scene
Okay.
off of just like a noun.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, make sure me and Ron would definitely love to come.
Yeah,
I
I'm gonna
did
keep you
drama.
posted.
Yeah.
Okay,
Drama
you're an
for, like,
actor as well.
Yeah, I'll definitely get in there and do the improv. That's why I knew what you was talking about.
Okay.
That's why I was like, so in high school, did you do like the? Because I know in drama we had like the plays and we used to have different like activities in class where we would do
yeah.
the
He
improv
was
and
in- he
stuff.
was in
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
in drama for a
Yeah, he
while,
was in-
so
Yeah.
that's why I was trying to imagine like what they had you doing at the school.
Yeah, so in theater, I performed in different plays, for sure. And of course, we would have to take drama classes. And I did a few shows in high school. So yeah, you should definitely come out. We having our audition season starts again in August and September. So I'll definitely pass it on. Are you near Fairburn?
I think would be.
Yeah, we right here in Fairburn.
Oh yeah, Fairbur's
Yeah.
like 20 minutes
Okay,
away.
yeah.
So yeah, you should check it out because
Yeah,
we'll
I
be
do it all. I do it all.
okay,
Yeah, I
good,
do it all.
good.
This is about Brittany.
No,
This ain't
no,
about
but we
us.
always, need new actors to the troupe. So yeah.
That's up on there doing my improv little thing.
Yeah, yeah. If you're interested, it's really fun. That's
Definitely,
cool.
definitely.
Yeah.
I gotta ask you this question too. Something I wanted to ask you. Can you share a success story from your career that deeply resonated with you on a personal level? Success story.
I would say the one patient that always stands out to me is his name was Isaiah.
Okay.
And this was probably my second year
Okay.
in nursing, maybe third. I was working at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. And he was a child who was brought in. He was abused and abandoned.
Wow.
And I want to say the neighbors called the police, and subsequently the police went over and found him tied up in a basement. And he was, I want to say 2.
Wow.
And yeah, and he, 2, was he 2? He might have been about 4.
Okay.
He was small, so he might have been the size of a 2-year-old, but probably around 4.
Okay.
And would not talk. Of course, he had been abused, maybe his whole life. We don't know, but he had, these like burn marks on his arms and
serious.
just cuts and things. And you knew he was so traumatized because when we would go to stick him, do IVs and things we would have to use needles for, he wouldn't flinch.
Man.
And of course, that's not a normal response for a child because they don't like pain, So he wouldn't flinch, and you just knew his pain tolerance was so high because he had been abused. So I was his primary nurse, and I cared for him whenever I was working over the course of, I want to say, 2-3 months. And we nursed him back to health, and he was eating, and he gained his weight, and he even started to smile and talk and interact with us. And it was just so touching to watch like his transition from being this child who wouldn't make eye contact to a child that would laugh, subtly, because of course he had a lot of trauma in his short life, but even his resilience of, okay, it's safe now to smile or to interact or to even look someone in their eyes. And ultimately we nursed him back to health where he was fully healthy, at least physically. And he had to go into the foster care system. And I just remember like them coming to get him off the floor that day, and I just bawled. Like I had to leave the unit. I couldn't. And I might have been 23 at the time, and I went home and I was talking to my then boyfriend, and I was like, I think I want to adopt a baby. He was like, what are you talking about?
We gotta go get him.
And I was like, exactly. I was like, we have to go get Isaiah. Like, I need to take care of Isaiah. He was like, no. And I remember going home to my mom, and I was like, Mom, what do you think? Like, you think I'm too young to adopt a baby? And she's like, I think you are. Like, I think you got to let him go. You have to release him and pray that God protects him for the rest of his life. So this was probably in this had to be maybe 2010, 2011. So Isaiah is probably maybe 18, 19. And I think about him every now and then. Like, I wonder. So that's the patient who's like never left my spirit, you know? And I just wonder, like, is he okay?
Yeah.
Did he land on his feet? Did he find a good home?
Yeah.
And prayerfully, all of that is so. Because he deserved a good home after what happened.
Man.
Yeah.
That is
Isaiah, if
amazing.
you out there, Isaiah,
I
somebody
know.
man, comment.
I
Find
know.
Isaiah, man.
Yeah.
That'll be great to see him and to see him doing something
I
positive.
would hope so. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I
would
know
hope
wherever
so.
he out there, he's doing something positive.
Yeah.
And he's never forgot about you.
Yeah.
I could imagine like he probably would love to see you as well.
Yeah.
Because that's just a great story. Like
Yeah.
being able to take someone from that stage and bring them, put life back into
Yeah.
them. Because they took life from that
They
young
did.
boy.
They did.
You know, like
yeah.
and he couldn't defend himself.
Mm-mm.
Like what
No.
could he have done?
No, starving him, abusing him, and that was my baby
They
when
never
he was
caught the
there.
parents, or
I don't know what happened, you know, like
Yeah.
from our side, we don't know the legal
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
but yeah, he ended up going into foster care, and I just pray he was adopted well and someone took good care of him.
I'm just
Yeah.
this ain't no onions. I mean, these
Man,
onions-
but I mean,
onions
literally,
ain't that-
I'm surprised I was able to get through that
Whoa.
story without
Yeah,
tears
I
because
damn
it would
near
bring me to
started
tears
I
for
damn near grabbed my
years.
son and just
Yeah.
held him. Oh.
Yeah.
No, that's
No,
amazing.
no,
Success
no, for real.
story. Because instead,
Yeah.
you know, you wasn't like, okay, this year I made this much or that. No success story was seeing somebody go from this point to that point and
Yeah.
growing. So that's like amazing to hear you say that's what meant the most to you.
Yeah, for sure.
Shows a lot.
Oh, that is.
Yeah,
It's great.
because if you go into nursing for the right reasons, that's what you go into it for. Like,
Mhm.
I know a lot of people lately have been like entering into the field because they think you make all this money. Which,
Yes.
don't get me wrong, there's a lot of opportunities for financial, you know, prosperity. But the first thing is it's a heart profession,
Yeah.
you know, and you have to be able to care for people at their worst and see people at their worst and their most vulnerable and be that strength and that source of light for them, because nobody wants to be in the hospital, nobody wants to be sick, nobody wants a sick child. And again, for 10 years I took care of sick children, so not only was I taking care of the patient, but I'm taking care of the parents. You know, when you take care of a child, you take care of the family. And so yeah, if you're not leading with your heart, you're in the wrong profession. And I think that's in any part of nursing, whether you take care of adults, children, you know, the elderly, you're in it for the wrong reason. So yeah, that was definitely to watch him transition to a child that would smile and laugh and eat and hopefully, you know, be okay.
Yeah.
Definitely is.
Yeah, I would wheel him around the unit though. Like literally,
Yeah.
when I would go see my other patients, I would put him in a wagon and just like keep him with me and just
Oh,
take him room to room. Like that was my baby.
And he was there 3 months.
Yeah, because
That's
he
a
was
long
severely
time.
malnourished.
Yeah.
And so we had to you can't there's something called refeeding syndrome, where if you haven't had nutrition in a while, you can't just give them a plate of food because it will throw off your body chemicals and it can be deadly. And so you have to gradually reintroduce nutrients into the body because it's been starved for so long. And then we would have to like check his labs every day to make sure his body chemistry was properly responding to the nutrients and not like sending his body into a panic. So it took a while for us to be able to get him, you know, healthy again. And that's just physically, I mean, mentally and emotionally, but he did make progress. You know, he did. And that was one thing I loved about working with children, is how resilient they are. Like, I mean, working with cancer kids and kids who diagnosed with cancer. And, you know, you come into work sometimes with the weight of the world on your shoulders, your personal life, whatever. But that's one thing I can love about my profession is I have to put my stuff to the side for however long I'm at work. You know, once I clock in, it's about my patients. And then once I'm focusing on what they have going on, I'm like, what was I worried about? Like these parents are in here and their child has leukemia and they don't know if he has another 6 months. And I'm over here talking about what again? So it really makes you grateful, and it brings life into perspective. Like,
open mind.
Like the things that most often we're complaining or worrying about are nothing. Like, be grateful that you don't have a sick child or that you're not terminally ill. Like, working in healthcare, you realize it could always be worse. So be grateful, you know.
Man.
Yeah.
I heard everything you said, but you put Isaiah on my mind. Hell,
I
I'm about to go
know.
looking finding Isaiah.
I
Hell.
know. I'm
No,
saying,
that's just
yeah,
an amazing
I think,
story, and I
yeah.
mean that's just probably one out of many.
yeah.
That's kind of maybe thinking about that. Is that what 'cause starting off with the children? What made you go to the elders? I mean, like, was it?
Well, it was just really like a time to transition. And it was really actually right before the pandemic. So it wasn't my choice to leave the children's
Okay.
hospital. But basically, we got into, well, I'll just say it. They fired me because I wouldn't get the flu shot.
Oh,
Okay, yeah, now.
Yeah.
Yes,
Congratulations.
exactly.
Because now we see all the information coming out about
You know?
all these shots.
COVID,
Yeah.
how they say it's a weapon.
I was there for 10 years though, and honestly, I had never got the flu shot ever, because religiously I was raised Muslim, and
Okay.
so we don't vaccinate,
Right.
and so
Yes, sir.
I never got it.
Yeah.
And that year, they said, "Oh, it's an incredibly unusual flu season, and we're gonna need everyone vaccinated at 100%." And I said, "So you're not acknowledging my religious exemption?"
I thought that was
In the state of Georgia,
Yeah.
it is. And they go, no, not this year.
What?
And fired me. And they fired probably a few hundred people. And actually, a guy just won his lawsuit this year from
The,
2019. You know, it takes a while for litigation sometimes,
Yeah.
but he just won. But he was a maintenance worker. And same thing, I want to say he was practicing Judaism. So,
Yeah.
and they fired him, but he won his lawsuit. I filed suit as well, but the Equal Employment Commission found on their favor. They found on the side of the hospital because they
What?
said because I was patient facing that I was a risk to the patients. But I said I haven't been a risk all this time.
Yeah, so that was just a way of them not paying. That's crazy
Yeah.
because I know in New York, all those people got their money back, like
Yeah.
from the time they were fired.